Morning guys, sorry for the corruption on the first video. No idea what happened. As it uploaded, it obviously went boobs up. So this video now starts from where that one finished, around 12 minutes or so, and then so is a few minutes from yesterday, and then today's video will continue after that. So thanks for letting me know. Sorry it went wrong. Yeah, have a good one. Right, so while the fuse box mount is drying, well, while the primer's drying before I paint on it, I thought I'd just try this out. Now, I've got my PCO adapter there, so I thought, well, if you can pump tyres up, surely you can fill the compressor with it. So, I've just put a double-ended PCL valve on it, and I'm going to use my big compressor to fill the tank. Keep using the battery on the car and the compressor that I've got in the back. So I've just rigged the gauge up, just to have a little, keep an eye on it basically. So I'll just wait for my big compressor to charge up, and then hopefully I should be able to pump the pressure into this tank and then do it that way. And then same sort of thing, if anything happens to the compressor out on the road, at least I can then use this to put air back in the compressor, sorry, back in the tank. So all little bits to try. I was going to try and put one of these Schrader valves underneath that and then connect it in, so then you just literally put a tyre valve thing on it, but don't need to if I've got this, do I? So right, let's wait for the compressor to charge up and we'll give it a go. Well, it's working. We've got 90 in the tank now. Just my compressor needs to charge up again, so I'm just letting it do it. So yeah, this should be a good way to get air back in the tank if we need to. Right, so my seat box, I've got obviously the panels that cover the battery box, and then the one under the driver's seat that just opens up to the chassis. Neither of them have got the retaining plate on them. I think it's actually part of the seat box, but for some reason mine hasn't got it. So the centre one, underneath the centre cubby, has a little retainer that clips it in at the back, and then the front clips on. So screws in. So with this having the clip at the front, I thought I'd just make the same thing. So I just bent up a bit of metal. I'm going to give it a paint, rivet it on there, put some foam around it, and then hopefully it should latch up tight. So let's get some paint on it and I'll show you once it's back together. So while I've got this here, I've got another task. This has side repeaters. Mine doesn't. Now, normally I would not bother with them, but as I've got the disco loom and I've got a bulb, if I take the bulb out, it's going to flash repeatedly quickly because there's no bulb in there. If I leave the bulb in and just hide it behind, it will eventually go and I've got to try and find it, etc. So I think I might just put the repeaters on. I've got this type and I've got the modern type. I think I'll go with the modern type, hence the template. So I can now peel that off there, stick it on the car where I want it, and then cut it out. And then once that one's cut out, I'll measure and then do the same the other side, I think. Yes. Let's try not to muck this up. And there we go. We went with orange. Now, obviously, as you can see on this one, they're supposed to be up front. My wires didn't quite reach up the front, and you know, side repeaters are generally at this end of the wing, so it's going here. I don't think it looks too out of place. I mean, I could put clear ones in, but I've got orange lights, so it makes sense to have orange. So right, let's see if we can get the other side to match. There we go, and the other side is on. Right, that's another job ticked off. Now the bits is finished, well, dried from painting, we can start back on other jobs. Right, there you go, it's in. It's clipped down the front and it's secure at the back. It needs a bit of foam on it just to make it all a bit tighter, but we'll do that. So that's one bit done. Now I've got to take the driver's seat out and do the driver's one. That's the bracket for the fuse box. You can't see it now because it's black, but it's painted black and bolted back on. We've done the side repeaters today, and we've done the under seat bits. I haven't took the driver's seat out. I've just made the other one and put it in, and it's fine. I've ordered the tape. Oh, it's like a black hole in here. I've bought the tape on Amazon, so I've just got to wait for it to turn up. I mean, it doesn't really go anywhere, but it just gives it a bit more of a seal. I'll go all the way around and make it sealed. So, right. I think I'll call it there a day. No? Call it there for a day? Oh, I don't know. I'll go home. I'll come back in the morning. Morning. It's a bit chilly. Right. I've looked through this week's footage and realised I haven't really shown you much on how I've done things and what I've done. My camera tripod, I stood on it and broke it. So I need to buy a new one at some point. So trying to do something and film is a bit awkward. So that's why I keep giving an overview of what I've done. So I know that probably isn't as entertaining and as interesting, but I thought it's best to show you some bits than not. So anyway, until I get one, that'll probably be most of what the footage is. I know I showed you a little bit of painting and grinding, nothing exciting, but that's because it was propped up on the bench. But actually freestanding, it doesn't work anymore. So right, today I need to sort out the cooling. What I'd like to do today really is get all the pipes buttoned up with their hose clips, get the other radiator in and plumbed in, so we can actually fire this up and get it to idle. You know, try going backwards and forwards with it, etc. That's where I'd like to get to today if I can. Now I've taken off the posts. You know, I had them cut down radiator posts on the bottom of the rad. I've taken them off completely. And then now this is sitting below the slam panel. So what I need to do is make sure the fan fits in that gap, because obviously you've got the cowling. So I need to make sure the fan sits right in there with the lid on. If we can get away with using the lid off the disco, maybe a chopped down variant. And then I know that that's where it needs to be. And then we will get the other one out and go to fit that. I have got to modify it. There's obviously the two outlets at the bottom of here. The bottom one we don't need as it hits the chassis. I think it needs, I don't know what it needs. I think the Defender rad from memory has the fitment or the pipe at the front of the rad, whereas I'm not using the EGR cooler and stuff, so I can do away with it. So I have bunged it up on this one to be able to fit it, so I need to make sure that I can modify the replacement, bung it up and seal it that it holds water. So that's one thing I need to try and sort out. Otherwise I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to go to a Defender rad and intercooler, but I don't really want to. Right, so let's stop waffling, let's get on. Right, so the fan's back in. I presume it's supposed to sit a bit closer than that. I'm not really sure. Unless this, I think this might need to tilt back a little bit, which we'll see. But it is very close that side, and not very close that side. But obviously I've got no room to move the rad over. So it does turn. We might just have to trim this corner off if we do go with this, but height-wise it's fine. I just need to go and get a topper and see if that sits on there. Right, so it fits nicely, as in covering the belt and the fan. It's obviously a bit too deep, so we just need to trim this lip off, I think, and see how it sits. I've got hundreds of these, so I don't worry about cutting them up. So let's give that a quick trim and see where we get on. Right, so with that trimmed off, it does bolt down. It does fit nicely, but the fan doesn't turn. It is caught. Hang on, let me see if I can get a torch in there. As you can see, it is hitting. Can I have the torch and the camera and operate the fan? It appears not. Hang on. Yeah, so you can see where it's catching. So let's see why that is. Yeah, and the good thing about having dirty parts, as you can see, it's been scraping all the way along here. So I think it's where this isn't obviously central. If this could go over a bit, we'd be all right, but we can't. The only option maybe would be to loosen the engine mounts and see if it was the whole engine will slide over a bit, but that seems a bit extreme. So we've got two options. We either modify the cowl, but then I suppose it'd be a bit inefficient. Or, bear with me, we chop 10mm out of the blades. I can't see it making that much of a difference, would it? I've got plenty of fans. Not enough fans. I mean, plenty of cooling fans. So, I mean, why don't we try it? Let's just cut 10mm off each one and see what happens. Right, so I cut this little bit of metal, 10mm, and just use it as a guide so they're all the same. And obviously I've put that little dash on because it was curved like that, just to remind me which end has got to be curved. So, right, let's cut all these out, see how we get on. There we go, trimmed and curved. You wouldn't know the difference, would you? Don't know. Let's have a go. Right, it fits. The fan clears. Obviously, my only concern would be balancing of the fan, hence why I've measured and took the same sort of amount off. We'll just have to see how it goes. Otherwise, it's going to end up being an electric fan, I think. But yeah, we'll see. It'll either work or it won't. It clears now, at least. So, at least we can get the cover on. And I was worried about, obviously, where the fan sits, but it's perfectly inside this cover now. So, I think that's in the right place. Right, so let's see about getting the other rad in, the actual one we want to use. Right, I've got it in my soft jaws, bits of wood. I've just chopped this extra pipe off on this one. It's a blank. I mean, there's a tiny hole there, but I don't know if that's, I think it might go all the way through, but that would be a lot easier to seal than the other one that had the full opening. Very strange. So anyway, I've chopped the feet off. So now, I mean, before I just drilled, I chopped them off flush with this piece. But what I want to try and do is drill through the middle there and get these sat in there. Oh, I'm not pointing the right way. Get these rubber feet sat in there because I think it does need the rubber bushing. I don't think just the metal through this plastic will last very long. So I need to try, but that's a big hole. I'll give it a go, see what happens, and then we'll go from there. Worst case, as long as I only go down as deep as this, I can chop this off and just sit it on this anyway like it was before. So, right, let's have a go. The only issue is it's going to bring it up slightly, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. If we can get that down there somewhere, we're going to be about 10mm higher. So, we'll just see. We'll try it, and then we'll offer it up and see what happens. So, right, let's get on. Okay, I'm confused. Obviously, that looks like there is a very small hole in there, right? This one is blanked off. I've just checked on the other rad, and that's blanked off as well. I don't know. Is that supposed to be the one that's connected with a tiny opening just to allow a little bit of water through? I don't know. I'm going to have to go and have a look at the plumbing diagrams and see what this says. So I think time for a cup of tea before we proceed much further. And just to say, I can't use this one because where the chassis sits. So if I block this one up, I might have to just put a little drill up there and drill a little hole if that's what it's supposed to have. So right, I'm going to go and look at the diagrams. Right, so looking at threads online, this one happens to be on Landy Zone. Someone else said the same thing. The bottom hole has got a tiny little hole and the other one is blocked off. Apparently the oil cooler no longer needs a coolant line, hence why that one is blocked off. And the other one is just a small feed for the fuel cooler. So I think what I'm going to do is block that small hole up because obviously I need to remove that join for location reasons, and then I need to just drill a little hole, 2mm hole in that one. So that's that sorted out. Right, I found a failure to my plans. Centre to centre, oh, this is a bit close. Centre to centre on these is 71.5mm. The posts on the Defender are 69. So that would be, what, another 10mm in here. So we can't really do that. So we're going to have to lop it off the same as the other one and drill through. And there's not going to be enough room to put the boot in, so I think we're just going to have to go with it. See how we get on. Maybe we'll put some foam tape or something around the bottom of the rad, just to sort of give it a bit of a cushion. I think that's all we can really do. Right, I think if this fractures and breaks, then obviously we will have to go with a proper TD5 rad. But in the interest of cost saving and trying to reuse, I think that's what we're going to have to try and do and give it a go and see if it lasts. I've put a bit of extra plastic on there, tiger sealed it all down and drilled it to give it a bit more strength both sides. So I've just got to leave that to go off and then I can trim the edges round. So yeah, hopefully that will make it a bit stronger as we kind of have the rubber bush. I could have made it a bit wider maybe and got the rubber bush in, but it still would have probably fouled the actual rad corners. So probably best leave it. Let's put some foam on the chassis so it's got something to rest on as well. So right, leave that go off. Time for a cup of tea. A whole day on this today. We've now got the big front mount intercooler in, the other rad. We've got all the hoses connected up, all the pipes done. The only thing we've got to do is extend this. The pipe sits right on the end. You just can't get enough on. Even if you pull it back from here, you just can't get enough on. So I've got another bit of pipe there. So basically that just needs cutting and joining. But we'll look at that tomorrow. We'll trim that down, get it fitting just about right, and then we'll have to find someone who can weld it up. And I also need to get the same person to weld me a boss on here for this. So, right, that's it for tonight. Oh, apple a day and all that. See you in the morning. Okay, a bit more done. I was thinking last night while I was reviewing the footage that I wonder if the radiator isn't high enough. Is that why that hose doesn't fit? So, what I did, let me find the bits. If you remember, I was trying to get the radiator supports in and they were too big. So what I've done, I've cut that nipple off, so it's just that rubber bung with the hole all the way through, and put that underneath the rad on the feet to get, and all it's given it is 10 mil of lift. And then I took that pipe off, sorry, the EGR replacement, put it on the hose, and then bolted that back up. Now they're not under any tension. It was just that I couldn't get the angle of that hose right to get it on there. It was so tight I had to put the hose in boiling water, grease up the inlet to get it on. So I was never going to get it on in situ here. So I took it off from the other end, obviously put it on, and then went like that. And it fits. I mean, I don't know if it's going to last. I don't see why not. The rad's not going anywhere. It should be all right. Hopefully it doesn't pop off. So that's done. The rad and intercooler's all in. The cross brace is on. Now, I have cheated a little bit. I have put a couple of spaces, and you can't see, but a couple of spaces between the wing and the chassis, just to push it out, probably 10 mil. These I haven't done up yet, because they need about 10 mil as well, and I think I've probably got about that in there. So the wings are out about 10 mil. Hopefully the bonnet will still cover it. If not, we'll have to relook at that. But I'll try the bonnet on at some point, but it's just trying to get things to fit. I mean, you can see there, albeit the hose clip is touching the wing, there is still about probably 5 mil there. So I can go over, you know, maybe take one of these spaces back out. So it's just, you might be able to see it better there. There's two. So I might be able to take one of those out and just bring it that little bit closer. I was just trying to give us a bit of room, that was all. This one's a bit tighter, to be fair. But yeah, we'll see. It's all trial and error. I've never fitted a Discovery radiator and intercooler and a Defender before, so it's just trying to see what works. I mean, these were already spaced out anyway. I don't know whether this is slightly smaller or whether the angle of the dangle, it just never pulled up tight. So they've always been sort of 1 nut width. Now they're 2 nut width. But as I say, I might be able to pull it in a bit. So that's all in. So in theory, I think we can go ahead and start putting some water in it. I might leave it, as it's Friday afternoon now, I might leave it till Monday. I don't want to leave water in it over the weekend, just in case it gets cold and I'm not here all weekend. The temperature is due to drop, so probably best just to do it Monday morning, put some fluid in, get it running up. I have got more bits I've got to fit. Let's do that, because it's got my address on it. I've got the tape for the under seat box thingamajiggies, and a washer fluid tank. Now TD5 ones go in here, underneath the arch. So I'm going to have to pull that horn off that I've temporarily bolted on there. But I needed to pull the air intake off anyway to get all these wires behind it. So I will do that and we'll see if we can get this bottle in to fit. Which is good because the Discovery TD5 are in the passenger wing, like just behind, well, in front of the, sort of behind the headlight as such, down behind the bumper, underneath the headlight, sorry, behind the fog light. So the wires for the pumps should easily reach, but we shall see. Right, I'm going to start dismantling this, I suppose. Right, with a bit of a fight and the boost pipe out the way, that does fit in there. I was worried I was going to have to take the inner wing off, but it just slots in there, so that's all right. So let's try and sort the wires out now. Right, I think what I'm going to do is have the headlight and all the gubbins out, so I can make sure that I can get to all the wiring that's behind it before I bolt that in case I need to make any provisions for access to wiring. But I think once this is off, the headlight bowls out, I should be able to get in there, no problem at all. But we'll take that off next week and have a look. So yeah, we've had to go back a couple of steps, but we are progressing slowly. The wife's L322. As you remember, I had it in before to try and find the battery drain. Well, even with the main, or the only one I could find that was causing a big drain, the nav unit, it's still draining the battery after 12 hours. So I'm going to admit defeat and we're going to go hybrid. I am going to put a charging point in it, so when she gets home from work, it can just be plugged in and left on trickle charge overnight on an Amazon plug, so then I can switch it on and off by my phone. And then obviously when she goes to work, she can unplug it and then I can switch the Amazon plug off, all without having to open the garage, etc. So in the back there is a live. I'm going to double check that's permanent live, I think it is. And then we're going to try and put this connector in. Probably, it might sound horrible, it might sound silly, but on the outside of the bodywork, probably try and put it above the light, but on the other side. Because that way, when she walks past that to get in the car, she will see it. I don't want her to forget and drive off. You can get magnetic ones, but they're quite a lot of money. So at the moment, I'm just going to use a cheap Amazon waterproof plug just to have a proof of concept, make sure it works. So, right, let's get going. I've had the car locked for 20 minutes, so the BCU shuts down. You can tell by the little light next to the park symbol goes off. That's when it should be shut down. And I've just checked the wire that I connected to the fuse box, and yes, that is permanent 12. So we'll use that wire. I've made the hole in the rear quarter, so my little connector will go in there. So let's get this wired up. Just checked at the battery end, and yes, the voltage is going up instead of down, so that's a bonus. So that was just a quick Saturday job to hopefully mean I haven't got to jump start the wife's car every day. So right, thanks for watching. Again, sorry about the corruption on the other video. Hopefully you'll enjoy this one as well. So have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next week when we're probably going to do more on this, surprise surprise. And I need to get the wings off the green Defender ready for the bulkhead welding. So have a great one. See you later.